Good afternoon, Facebook Live. Woo woo. On this hot day. Yeah, it's humid, hot. I know. But we are going to wait for a couple of people to jump on before we begin our Reinvent You Vitamin Talks with our special guest today. I'm excited, absolutely excited today, and our co-host, my beautiful daughter, Shanae. Hi, guys. Hi, Stacy. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Stacy.
We
want to see and watch, so don't be side-eyeing me.
Shout out, Brandon. Any shout out.
What's up, Stacy? Reinvent You.
Yes. Woo woo. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Amalia, all the way from New York.
There we go.
Yeah,
Amalia.
I'm from New York too.
Oh, really?
I am. Brooklyn.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
real.
what's up.
She real.
Yeah.
I don't want no beef.
Don't want no smoke. No smoke.
Hi, Minor. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Minor.
Peter, thank you for joining us. We have a lot of men, so we expect a lot of men probably will join us today.
Okay.
When was the last time we were in New York?
Hmm?
When was the last time we went to New York? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
We
like
kind of
it?
need to
You
go.
like it?
It's interesting. New York is a little interesting.
It's very
I like.
fast-paced.
We live in New Jersey,
Oh,
But,
Oh, okay.
but
My
I've
cousin.
lived in New York
Uh-huh.
for summer. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. I don't know how the Manhattan, like in terms of always having to catch a subway, gotta get up 30, 40 minutes before you need to be someplace and hope the train's on time, all that type of stuff.
And the people are different there, too.
The people don't
Yeah,
do it.
They don't care.
They don't talk to one another.
And they're mean when they do.
The one thing I will say about New
Meet
York
you.
is one of the most humbling places to go. Like if
Yeah.
you ever need to be humbled,
Yep.
you walk there and they'll
Yes.
remind you how
You think
ain't.
you are the SHIT.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's what I do love about New York. You always feel like you got more work to do,
Yeah,
but I always feel like I'm on the clock.
definitely.
Yeah, no.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Tanya, Mark, thank you for joining us.
If you haven't ordered your book, you already know where I'm going with this. Daily Vitamins. ReinventYouBootcamps.com, right, Mom?
Yes. ReinventYouBootcamps.com. You can purchase your book. It'll be autographed by me and mailed to you.
Yes. And if you do have your book, if you want to whip it out, we're going to be talking about Day 5 Vitamin, which is on page 24. What are you telling yourself? So if you want to do a pre-read on that, that's what we're going into today.
So, Brandon, we're going to go ahead and get this started. Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for
I know
having
you have a busy schedule. And and the fact that you're here to speak volumes, that you were willing to be with us and chat with us today, so we truly appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
You are from Baltimore.
I am. I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all having me. Appreciate what you're doing. Respect what you guys are doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
And we are today at Gilman, a very amazing school. You actually came to Gilman.
Yeah. I went to Gilman. I'm an alum. Graduated in 2009. Had my birthday yesterday. Turned 27.
Oh, happy
Got a
belated.
little gray hairs.
Oh, please. You got years for that, man. Come on now. You graduated a year after me. Don't do that.
But it's good to be back for sure.
I'm quite sure. You're ground, your starting point.
Yeah.
And you're always good.
You were a star athlete here.
I guess. I don't know if it was a star, but yeah, I guess.
Okay,
yeah.
I like
was
the
an
humble
athlete
answer.
here.
Okay.
I was an athlete here.
You started your journey here.
Right.
Are you a star now, though? You have a star behind you.
Don't leave me hanging.
Trying. But yeah, no, I started here. I actually was a late bloomer, to be honest with you. Yeah, I was the short, fat, chubby kid. Didn't even make JV my freshman year. All my friends were on JV and all that stuff. I was fresh off. I tried to play quarterback. I had my quarterback dreams and stuff like that. But it really wasn't until about junior year I started thinking I was pretty good. but I really wasn't. Like if I look back at the film, I was like, I really wasn't. And senior year is when I kind of really, you know, my it wasn't that I buckled down. I always worked hard, but I think my body caught up to my work ethic in terms of I had a nice little growth spurt. I leaned out. I remember like 2 weeks before training camp that year, I remember I started doing 3-a-day workouts with my trainer. I still work with this guy now, Troy Jones at Fitzby. He's down in Florida now, miss you, boy. He's coming up this weekend though to help out at the camp, so definitely appreciate you. But I lost 21 pounds in about 4 or 5 days. Something that was pretty ridiculous. I mean, it shows how out of shape I was, but pretty ridiculous.
It shows how dedicated you were. That's what
You
it
know,
shows.
Brandon, you said something at the beginning of the conversation where you said that it took you 2 years, right, to really figure out that, hey, I might have something going on here, right?
Yeah.
Today's vitamin and the discussion that we want to have is, what are you telling yourself?
Right.
And I am quite sure that in finding that, hey, I might be good at it, you had a lot of positive, negative thoughts, self-talk that went through your mind. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think the difference is like, I always believed that I was someone special, right? Whether it's football, at that point, basketball, just life in general. But at the end of the day, what I tell people now, I'm kind of getting away from your question, I'll come back, but what I tell people now is like, you got to keep that Disney-like imagination, right? Like as you get older, we asked a bunch of kids from our camp what you want to be when you grow up, and you see the answers, and they're amazing. We got 79 kids who want to be engineers. You got some people who want to be homeland security detectives. Some people want to be astronauts. Like, great. As they get older, you know, these might be some 11-year-old kids now. As they get 14 and they get around more people who are like, man, you're not going to be an astronaut. Man, you crazy. And they start to chip away. They let that chip away at their own confidence and belief in themselves and what they can do. I think the difference with me is I always felt like I could do something special. I always knew I had the work ethic and all of that type of stuff. I outworked anybody around me. But at the end of the day, it was making sure I kept that positive. Like, okay, even though it's not producing or what I think I can do isn't coming and showing up on the field as a freshman, as a sophomore, etc., can I still keep that work ethic? Because when I do get my opportunity, when I do get my chance, I'll be ready. And there's a lot of people who I know of, especially in college, as you get to college, there's a lot of people who I know of, they meet that little bit of adversity, they start to get that negative stuff in their mind, and then they start to say, you know, I'm not going to work as hard, do this workout, why should I? You know?
And I love what you said in the fact that you said that regardless of the fact that what you wanted and the outcome that you wanted wasn't quite there, you knew what outcome you wanted, but it was still developing. It was still in that developing phase, but you did not lose sight on how important that positive mindset and that thought process for you was and how it played into you creating the outcome. Now, who would you say has been influential for you in pushing you and always giving you that, hey, keep it positive, be positive?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest influence in this, you know, not even to sound like a actor, you know, thanking God at the Oscars or stuff like that, but at the end of the day, biggest influence, like the first you know, being I fall back on is God. Like, I think that there's a lot of things in my life that have happened, family issues, life issues, adversity, all of that type of stuff that a lot of people take and they curl up in a ball, curl up in a shell. What was me? Oh, you know, I'm not going to work as hard or use it as an excuse. Where I've been fortunate, and I can only thank God for it, to take a lot of that negative stuff that comes out. You know, I end up taking it and using it as fuel and as motivation. There's
to push yourself to be the best version of yourself.
And there's a lot of people in the world that do that, but might not necessarily notice that or call it that. But that's, you know, one of the things I can point to is like, you know, that, I mean, that I thank my mother, my grandparents, my brother, my family, you know, my core family for supporting me. But at the end of the day, you can only push someone but so far, right? Like at the end of the day, exactly. Like you can only teach her so much about life and the way of thinking of things. But at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when she's alone, at the end of the day, the way she interprets information and it uses it to either motivate herself or fall off or whatever.
Yes, sir.
That has nothing to do with you. At the end of the day, in my opinion.
So through it all, you are now a professional player
Mhm.
in the NFL.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's a huge success.
What was that day like?
Again, I mean, to speak to it, we actually were, my cousins and brother, we went on a family trip this past weekend to San Diego, and so 6 years ago, I got signed to the Baltimore Ravens. So, hometown team, coming home, all that type of stuff. And that day I was hot. I was literally upset, biggest chip on my shoulder, which sounds crazy, right? But I wanted to be drafted, right? I was an undrafted player. So at the end of the day, I remember actually posting it, like, hey, I'm coming home with the biggest chip on my shoulder in the world. Like, the Ravens, I remember them calling me during the draft, like, hey, we think about we might take you. Sorry. Keep the lights on for y'all,
Okay.
Motion detector.
Sorry, guys.
There you go. That motion.
I'd like to help you.
But I remember just wanting to be drafted. Long story short, wanted to be drafted. The Ravens calling, hey, we might get you in these last couple rounds, or if not, we'll get you after the draft. In my head, then you should get me in the last couple rounds, right? So at the end of the day, went undrafted, ended up signing with them. Very happy, very humbling experience, and happy to be there. But for me, the mind God gave me was like, take it as a slap in the face. Like, take it as, and it's not just from the Ravens, but all 31 other teams besides the Ravens that did not take you in the draft, and make sure every time you play them, you make them pay. You're right. So again, some people can take that as, oh man, you'd be happy, like you made it in the NFL, and like that's great, but that's only gonna give me to year one. For me to be here 5 years, going on 6 years later, I have to take stuff and find that self-motivation, those self-talks, and figure out what's going to motivate me tomorrow, what's going to motivate me today, what's going to get me through this workout today.
And keep getting better.
Exactly.
Exactly. And not just on the physical realm, mentally,
exactly.
spiritually, all that.
Definitely.
So while we're on this topic, I do want to ask you, so what would you say was the biggest trial that you encountered along this journey? So would you say that it was
Football journey, or
your journey to becoming a pro athlete?
So my second year, my first year I played practice squad with the Ravens. Second year we had new coaching staff. I played practice squad with the Ravens half the year, and then the second half of the year I was with the Tennessee Titans. Second year coming in, I'm thinking, hey, I made it my first year, got my foot in the door. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but my hardest year. As an undrafted player, I came from an Ivy League school, which in the world it sounds great, but in football it's like the biggest knock. When you're like, who you playing? There's no competition type of thing. So at the end of the day, me making it that year one, I was like, okay, that puts the stamp of approval on me that I'm playing against competition now, and I'm still here. 2 weeks into that season, I got cut and sat out the rest of the year. So for me, that was the biggest hurdle in terms of the NFL battle, is just at the end of the day, one, figuring out who you are as a person, because at the end of the day, it's like you sit out all of those weeks, and every single week you sit out, the likelihood of you getting a chance to come back in the NFL is weaker and weaker and weaker. Yeah, going to a couple workouts and feeling like I'm doing amazing, and teams saying, oh, we'll call you next week, or we'll blah, blah, blah. And, never, the phone never ringing type of thing.
But you don't give up, though.
Right. And I love that you don't give up. Like for you, when they cut you, and
or even
that
when
was a
you call that
disappointment.
Yeah.
What was that like for you in the sense of what were you telling yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you go through a big phase of soul search, you might want to call it even depression for a bit, just because you're just like, hey, like, this is what I banked a lot of my life on, right? And at the end of the day, now I can't do it. So you really have to like figure out who you are in terms of like, okay, like what is next? Like, there's some people I know who are working out every single day, and they might be, 6 years later still working out. But at the end of the day, I told myself, okay, I feel like I can play. I feel like I'm good enough to play in the NFL. All right, I'll give myself, starting January 1st of 2015, I'll give myself 1 calendar year to get into the NFL. I won't do anything else. I won't be trying to take on any other job or anything like that. I'll thug it out. Give myself 1 full calendar year to get back on the roster. If not, then I'm packing my stuff up and I'm calling it a day. And a lot of people might look at that as like the quitter's mentality or whatever, but that's life. Like, you can't wait on me. I'm not waiting on the New York Jets or somebody to give me a check, right? At the end of the day, I got a family to provide for. I got stuff. I have other dreams and stuff I want to accomplish as well. So, so fortunately, they had this veteran combine. It was the first year that they did it ever, and the only year actually. That's how God works. They only accepted 100 players to it, and of it, I was one of them, and of it, only 2 people made a team.
And that was in that calendar year?
That was in that calendar year. That was like a few months later. Yeah, that was 3 months later, actually, in March. So I went from having no teams offer me a spot. I ran 4.51 there, 40, and literally I remember just that 360 in my head. I remember we were in Arizona, it's hot out there, just worked out, felt like I killed it, but I didn't really know, because they didn't show you your times and all that type of stuff.
And I'm sure you're used to them saying, you have that doubt in your head, like, are they going to say to me, I'll call you later?
Right,
you know
right.
What I mean?
But people started walking off the field, and there was literally like a line of coaches waiting to talk to me, a line of coaches and scouts sitting there waiting to talk to me, which was like, and I remember just sitting there, like, one of the teams was the Titans, and the Titans had just cut me weeks ago.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't weeks ago, months ago at this point,
Right.
but like, they were like 7th in line. Like, I remember like literally sitting there and like in my head I'm talking,
Right.
keeping it real business professional, like, yeah, thank you, coach, blah blah. But in my head I'm like,
Don't get no dad to me.
Yeah. Like, I see you right there, number
Right.
7. I'm gonna make sure you wait.
Right.
The number 7, and it's, no offense to them, they made whatever decision that they thought was best for their team then.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna take offense to it.
No, absolutely, as you should.
And we all have like set messages that we play in our minds over and over again.
Yeah.
That is the power of thought, the thought
Yeah.
process. And what I'm hearing from you is that you kind of planted this thought in your mind from the beginning that I am a winner.
Yeah.
I am a conqueror.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
I am. That power of the I am, affirming your belief system, affirming that of which you want. Seems like it played a very big role in your success. And truly it plays a role in our success, I feel, because what you tell yourself is what you believe.
Right.
And what you believe is what you manifest into action.
Right.
So the power of what we tell ourselves is so pivotal. It's a tool that we constantly have to activate. Constantly, as soon as we wake up, what are you telling yourself?
Right. And just imagine, like, just you going back to I'm giving myself 1 year. Imagine if you didn't even do that. You did just give up. But that was your year. Everything was the way it was supposed to happen is the way that it happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, kudos to you, for that, because I have a 19-year-old son, and he played football.
Okay.
And I remember when Justin had those football games, that he would get frustrated because just the fact that they didn't put him to play.
Gotcha.
That affects your mindset. So there's so much in this journey of where you are now and up until now that you've had to endure. And it's just amazing how you've maintained. But in your transparency, you also said that there's the flip side. That negative mindset does come in. You kind of doubt yourself. You said you kind of feel depressed. Right. When things don't kind of go the way you think they were supposed to go. But the beauty of it is that we have the power to change that. Right. And it seems like that positive mindset just stomps all over that negative mindset.
Absolutely. And you have a choice. I feel like the choice is yours. You can either wallow in that doubt and that self-hate and all that, or you can use it to become a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And you use it to become a better version of yourself.
Yes.
Here for it.
Who helped you with your voice?
As you were speaking, it made me really think about it. I think that my grandfather has been huge in that. And he played football. He played 11 years with the Baltimore Colts, 9 with the Baltimore Colts, 1 with the Giants, 1 with the Falcons. And one of the things as you talk to yourself, and he's always said this as I was a kid and everything like that, is there's a big difference between lying to yourself and just having confidence in yourself. And one of the things, that was one of the reasons why I went and gave myself a year, because I knew that I could play in the NFL. Like if I would have went up there and been getting thrown around and tossed around and like didn't think I could be good or thought I could just have a little teeter-totter career, then I would have packed up and went on to something I think I could be the best at. Right. I could look in the NFL and I just see, okay, that's a good opportunity, right? And so that was one of the things I always grew up. He always said, Cope, I'm not going to lie to you. That if I'm lying to you, it's like me lying to myself, and I'm never going to lie to myself. So at the end of the day, having that confidence, well, one, understanding where you are, you know, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and then having that confidence, like you said, to it doesn't always have to just be positive. Like that's not real life, right?
That's not growth.
Exactly.
That's not growth.
Exactly. Like, I feel like some people get the negative thought and they're like, oh, well, this just isn't for me. You know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that comes with it. That doubt, that fear to fail, for me is what motivates and drives me, because I don't want to fail. Like I don't want to, you know, fail in front of my friends and family. And it's not a weak or insecure thing. It's just more of
a human thing.
That's a human thing, but it's also that's just what motivates me, right? You know, some people could care less, right? Like, oh, I don't care if I fail in front of you. So that might not be your motivator to get you through to that goal. So you might need to find a different way to motivate yourself to get through that goal. You see what I'm saying? So like for me, like I have like I always think of football. Well, we'll go circumvent. There's another thing that you said about a certain mindset, and I've literally told myself this since junior year, since sitting in here having meetings before games and stuff like that.
This is the room,
and it's just about excuses. Like it's one of the things I'm gonna tell the kids this weekend. Is like excuses. Like there's a lot of people I went to high school with, a lot of friends, a lot of people I grew up around who can give you every single excuse and the reason why they can't be successful, right? And it's not just them, it's just the world in general, right? At the end of the day, I remember they were going through some stuff in high school that I won't necessarily get into, but I was going through some stuff in high school, and I realized at a certain point I started looking like, man, like, well, if I don't make it, then, you know, it's really on him. It's not really on me, type of thing. And
trying to push the accountability onto somebody else.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And how many people now you
do that?
Hear them say,
oh,
it's my boss, blah, blah, like, oh, it's such and such, my friend can't, you know, they didn't come through, you know, at the end of the day. Never want to look in the mirror. Exactly. And for a junior in high school, that's kind of another reason why I thank God for this, because I don't think too many people would think like this, but like as a junior in high school, I literally started picturing, like whenever I got into those worst moments, I started picturing myself as an older person. I have no kids now. I pictured myself having a son, me walking up to him in the bathroom and him being on the floor hungry, like literally just hungry. And he'd be like, Dad, like, why can't we eat today? And I'm like, and I literally like play it in my head, like, man, like, well, you know, that coach in high school, man, he held me back. So I didn't get a scholarship. So man, I'm not going, you know, my son gonna look at me like, you gotta be kidding me. You crazy, right? So for me, I always think of that whenever I feel like I'm getting into, even to this day, if I feel like I'm getting into that, oh, woe is me type of thing, or, oh, I can't figure a way out of this situation. No, like, find a way, right? Like,
I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because people think that once, of course, you wanted to become a pro player, that is what you are. But that self-doubt and all that, that's still, I'm sure you still have those moments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it doesn't stop. Like, success can bring that even more, to be quite honest.
The NFL is one of the biggest roller coaster rides of this, like, one of the hardest professional industries. But
when we talk about self-talk, I think, you know, you brought up a very valid point. It's about being realistic. It's about standing in your truth and understanding that by standing in your truth, it means that you're going to have negative thoughts. You're going to make mistakes in life. That is part of life. And sometimes we don't do that. We don't give ourselves permission to make mistakes. So, you know, we have these ambitions, we have these goals, we know what we want in life, but in between that comes the disappointments, comes the mistakes that we have to embrace just as much, because with that comes a lot of lessons in life, and it makes us stronger, and it makes us look at the situation from a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
So now you are a standout athlete for Gilman. You attended the University of Pennsylvania, and now you are a linebacker for the New York Jets. So tell me, I know we talked about draft day, right?
Yep.
We talked about drafting, but
Yep.
what did you tell yourself on draft day? What exactly were you telling yourself on draft day?
To be quite honest, I'm gonna make them all regret it. Right? Like, I mean, that's just the way I kind of motivate myself. Like, I know I just signed with the Jets going in March. Only game I really
Congrats on
care
that.
about. Thank you. Week 1, Monday Night Football of the season, we played the Detroit Lions, my old team.
So you about to go and crush it.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of things that, like I said, there's a lot of things that I was talking to a kid yesterday. He's at St. Francis now in high school, and he just got voted one of the top players in the country, right? And at the end of the day, like I told him, don't ever confuse your goals with other people's goals for you.
Oh,
So,
say that again, Brandon.
yeah,
Say that again. Say that again.
Don't
Say
ever
that
Give me
again.
chills.
Yeah, say that again. Someone out there who's on Facebook Live.
Right.
It might be a parent. It might be. It's motion censored.
Yeah.
So
There it is. You just gotta rise up real quick.
Someone needs to hear that. Repeat that for me.
Yeah, don't ever confuse your goals with the goals that other people have for you.
Projection is something else.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who project. Well, I told him this in terms of like the lower projections, right? But there's a lot of people who there's some people who over project. Or
Right.
even it's like, hold up, man.
Right.
That's your dream, not mine. Like,
Right.
I've had to tell a lot of
Like, I'm good right here.
Yeah, that's your dream, not mine, type of thing. Because especially as you get to this level, everyone wants their dream to be your dream.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if your dream
They want to live vicariously.
exactly, then they're eating too. So, but in terms of the motivation, like at the end of the day, if my goal is this for me, but your goal, you can only see this far, and you're pushing me to this, but I need extra push to get here. Like, at the end of the day, that's what I was telling him as a younger player. You've gotten his accolades, and there's a lot of people going to come pat you on the back now. Like, man, you got it, blah, blah. Like, oh, man, you took the day off, blah, blah. Even my family to this day, they still, yesterday, my brother made a post about me turning off my phone, and I need to do a better job of it. Don't get me wrong. My wife tagged me in a post yesterday about making sure that I'm just reflecting in the moment and just, enjoying it for what it is. And I prayed on it last night. I need to do a much better job of doing that. But again, that might not be my goal for myself. My goal for myself is I got things I got to accomplish before I die. So, like, I'm working. Like, I'm working, right?
So they're just saying that you need to find time to just like.
They tell me I
bask
need
in
to
a
find
moment.
time to just relax, kick the feet up, and go.
Would
right?
you agree? Do you agree with that?
Oh, I do, wholeheartedly.
You feel like you overwork yourself
Oh,
most times?
wholeheartedly.
Even if it's just mentally?
Mentally, physically,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But yeah, definitely mentally. I mean, we're doing so many different things that it kind of just bounces all around. But again, even as an example, I love them to death, obviously. But like at the end of the day, that's just the way God wired me, right? So,
But it's amazing
it's
to have
finding
people
that-
like that around you.
exactly. So it's finding that nice balance.
Yeah.
But again, if that's not what I want to, if that's not what I feel like is going to get me done, get me where I need to go right now, then like, hey, because again, there's a lot of things, I mean, this is personal, but like there's a lot of things that I might be doing or a text conversation I might be having now that they might not realize, but it's going to pay off for us 3 or 4 months from now, or maybe 2 years from now, or something. But like me responding to this text right now is important to me, right? Like, because it might not, it might align with my vision, my goal, So yeah, it kind of got off tangent of football necessarily, but it's again the same thing of like, at the end of the day,
Right.
knowing
Full
you,
circle.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
knowing what you want,
Yeah.
and understanding that what people are telling you it'll take to get there, at the end of the day, you might have to reshape that and refocus yourself and remotivate that. You know, and my wife and I, we do real estate, and I've talked to mentors who are doing real estate, and they might do such and such really, really great rentals, really great. And at the end of the day, if I want to do flips and just focus on flips, but I also want to have a bigger empire or expand my team or whatever I want to do to just change it to make it more for me, I also got to seek that out, and I got to motivate myself to get there, right? Because they're over here, I got to motivate myself to get there. So how do I do that, you know?
And I'm glad you brought up your wife. That's actually one of my next
Beautiful, by the way.
questions.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You already knew that.
Yeah.
Humble about it.
I appreciate it.
But you and your wife do philanthropy work.
Yep.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we started a foundation. It actually just got the 501c3 status
Congrats.
a few weeks ago.
Dabbing all through this. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, my wife and I, we realized that we're not quote unquote special, right? Like, and that's the one thing we try to get across is I think we've been fortunate and blessed to get these platforms and have these opportunities, but at the end of the day, we're not like, I'm just fortunate of being in the right place, right time, or having a mother who would say, hey, like, let me take you so you can see what Gilman is all about. Or really seeing my older cousin. The only reason Gilman in private school became something in our mind was because my older cousin was playing at Spalding, and we went and saw the experience he had. So then it just opened up the door of like, man, I want that experience for myself too. But if he never goes and does that,
You know what your life chapter is.
exactly, right? So, or we've had the mentors to say, hey, like, your blinders are on, let's open this up, like, look over here, type of thing. So we've been fortunate to have that. So what we want to do is try to find ways to provide kids with that type of exposure, that same type of like taking those blinders off so that they can really see the world. Because there's a lot of kids out here who would do just like us, maybe outwork us.
And
You
about
never
the
know.
potential in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you've never seen more than 5 blocks around your house, then how are you going to know? You know,
Right.
I know a lot of kids who love money.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if I can be a vessel and take them up to a Wall Street firm, an investment bank, or a hedge fund, and they can sit there and look at millions of dollars being traded, and they sit there like, hold on, what?
Show them the right way to make.
Yeah, they'd be like, okay, I bet that kid pays a little more attention to math, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you can show them, if we can organically show them and expose them to different career opportunities, professional opportunities, different ways of thinking, then that's what our main goal is. So we have our main thing is we have a football camp. It's a free youth football camp. It'll be here. It'll be actually doing it on
We have it
Saturday.
coming up, actually, Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
And we have like 400 people, 400 youth
Yeah.
registered.
Ooh.
We'll pray for you.
It's
We'll pray for
amazing
you.
now.
We will pray for
It's
you.
amazing.
Yeah, so it's grown. This is our 3rd year doing it. We started off with like 150 kids, 147 kids, and last year 257 kids, and this year we're looking at 400 potentially plus. So, but the biggest thing, like I tell people, like our camp, we don't care about football. Like I really could care less about football. We're going to do football. We have NFL players here. All the kids
Care
want
about
to
the
Exactly. That's just a draw to get kids in here. The first thing we're going to do in the day, we're going to have community service. So we have all the kids. They split up into groups, and we have 750 hygiene kits. So at 715 hygiene kits / toiletry kits, where we're going to pass those out to the homeless. And then we also have 750 book bags with school supplies and stuff like that. So we partner with the shelter. But the first thing the kids do is they split up in groups and they build that stuff. So you're going to take a book bag, you're going to go collect spiral notebooks, pens, highlighters, blah, 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 boom, fill it up.
Understand the
One
power
book
of giving.
bag, boom, exactly. So yeah, exactly. We want to make sure that they understand that they can give back at any age.
And the importance of that.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
First
And so
foremost.
I'm hoping, and the crazy thing about it last year is like, we try to do things in an organic way. So it's not just like just telling you, hey, we want you to take this from this. It's more of like kind of developing the message throughout the exercise. So we gave away cleats last year too. There are people who message me saying, hey man, like, just wanted to show you this. Like, I couldn't actually fit the cleats, or hey, I had cleats already, so my teammate needed cleats, and he just wanted to say thank you. I gave him the cleats from your camp. I hope that's okay. I just wanted him to say thank you.
You don't know who you bless him.
Yeah, well, it's that, but it's also like the fact that a 12, 13-year-old kid decided to take some brand new Under Armour cleats and give them to somebody else.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't have done that as a kid. Like, if
Right.
it's mine, it's mine. I'm not, like, so.
We're going to squeeze in these bad boys.
Exactly. So it's like that for me is like, wow, right? Like, that's what it's all about to us. So
it's like almost lesson learned. They get it.
Exactly.
They get it.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this awesome camp. You have this awesome camp with you. How do you teach them? What do you do, and how do you teach them when it comes to what they tell themselves?
Right. So what we try to do is we pair the kids up, we group the kids up in groups of like 15 to 25, depending on how many show up. And then we pair them up with 2 or 3, what I consider role models. So they're my friends, young adults, all different types of career professions and stuff like that. And the goal for me, I'm not going to be able to reach 400 kids. Like, I'm going to give them my message at some point, but in a smaller group, I have people who I trust to give them a smart, good message. I respect these individuals myself. So these people are with them throughout the day. So when it's hot on Saturday, when you need some water, you're going to look up and you're going to see this guy, Alante Keels. That's my roommate from college. He's from Southeast DC. He ended up going to Penn. We were roommates. He ended up graduating Penn, going to Penn Law, president of the Law Students Association. Now he works for a top 10 firm in Washington, DC. Great dude, humble dude, down to earth. And that's the biggest thing, is like down to earth, humble dude. He's one of us. I'll just put it like that. Like, he's a good dude. So kids can look at him and be like, wow, you're the coolest lawyer I've ever met.
I want to be just like you.
Relatable.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, like, all the time I see lawyers, I look on TV and there's some squares, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, I
think they're better than other people.
Yeah, I could do this. Like, okay, you can make a lawyer be cool, make an engineer be cool, So at the end of the day, then while Alante's giving them water, or we actually have sessions for, like, during water breaks when that are just specifically designed for those role models, to talk to them, tell them what they do, introduce themselves, ask questions back and forth, talk about what they think they need to be successful, etc. Like, you empower them to have that time to share with the kids. But at the end of the day, that's how we get those individual messages out there. And then, of course, we all bring it up together as a group, and I give my message. But at the end of the day, we try to find ways. Yeah, you give the big message. You go talk to a class full of kids, and you might talk to 800 kids, but at the end of the day, who's really taking your message? But if you can break them up into groups of 20, then you might have a better chance of
more hands-on.
Exactly, get that message across. So we got a lot of cool things planned this year. We got
definitely, kudos to you, your team, your wife. You're getting down to the trenches. You got to get down to the trenches and do the work, and that's what you're doing. So congratulations on the job well done that you're doing here in Baltimore, your home state. And congratulations on your success. We got football season coming up. You might. And we're going to see if you're going to change my team.
I might got to get a T-shirt or something. I might do a double T-shirt.
With the New York Jets, and now this camp that's happening this Saturday. Is it too late to register?
It is too late to register.
Okay.
So we tapped out of registration about a month ago.
That's a good thing.
But,
400 plus. That's a good thing to say.
Yeah.
And
but we are accepting.
It's free. It's a free camp.
It's
There's no
free
charge. It's
Walk
not
up.
something.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're charging.
Right.
You're giving back to your community by bringing in these youth, giving them the tools, and it's absolutely at no charge whatsoever.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you again. I know you have to run. You have to go pick up
Wifey.
the wifey
Missus,
today. So
let
we
her
definitely
have
don't want to hold you up
Yeah.
from that. But we definitely want to thank you for
Right. Talking all good.
Right.
for taking the time to be with us today on our Reinvent You Vitamin Talks. And we have a book that we're going to give you.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
You just go ahead and take this.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
very
appreciate it.
welcome.
So I
I
signed
need,
the
I need an
autograph.
autograph for it. Yeah, I'm gonna say.
And we're going to switch autographs today.
Okay. That
You're
sounds
going to
good to
autograph
me.
one, and I'm going to autograph one for you.
That sounds like a plan to me.
So thank you, and we thank you for joining us on our weekly Reinvent You Vitamin Talk. Next week, we're actually going back to our usual time. So this week was just a change in the time frame. We wanted to make sure that we accommodated your schedule. And then we also have the holiday schedule that's kind of iffy this week. So we thought it would be better to just, bring Brandon in and, have this chat with you, which was very good, by the
I
way.
appreciate
It
it.
was very, very good.
I feel inspired. I
Yeah,
definitely do.
definitely. I walk away, and hopefully our viewers, whether you're an athlete, wanting to be an athlete, or just anything that you want to inspire in life, I hope that they walked away with some type of inspiration that there is nothing you can't do. And as long as you tell yourself that you can do it and understand that in the process of doing it, you are going to stumble, you are going to be,
Self-doubt,
you're going to
all
make
that.
mistakes and have that self-doubt, but you have to allow yourself to know that that's all part of the process.
Yep.
And just don't stay there. Surround yourself with people, because it sounds like for you, that's what you did. You surrounded yourself with people, and it sounds like, God was also a very big influence in your life. So, that's an important part of the piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, for
Is,
sure.
is believing in that higher being as well. So thank you again, and we look forward to having you next Thursday at 8 p.m. for our Reinvent You Vitamin Talks, conversations from our living room
Well,
to
Gilman
yours.
in this
It
case.
ain't a living room. Thank you.
Thank you,
And have a
guys.
great day, guys.